2020, a year unlike any other. A global pandemic, an economic recession, social unrest. It has tested our resolve, but it also has opened our eyes to how swiftly business can adapt, how dramatically the environment can heal, how resilient and connected we all are. This crisis is a call to action, a challenge to do more than return to normal. It's an opportunity to create a better normal, a world reimagined that acts on society's needs. In this new ideal, organizations are more flexible and empathetic, uplifting diverse voices, creating inclusive cultures, supporting mental and physical well-being, preparing others for the workforce of the future, helping them achieve their aspirations and find their true purpose. In a better normal, business leaders will help rebuild trust in society, deliver solutions through ecosystems and alliances, connect people with technology in ways that amplify both, and engage stakeholders in shared and sustained value creation. In a reimagined world, business and government proactively nurture our planet's health, inspire change among those they influence, and set examples through their actions. Returning to the way of life that existed before COVID-19 would mark failure. This is our chance to repair and reshape the world in a way that works better for everyone. For 175 years, Deloitte has helped people, clients, and communities adapt to and embrace what's next. That journey continues with new challenges, but the same purpose: to make an impact that matters.
The most important thing during the natural disaster is communication, and we will keep standing behind the client to restore the assistance.
说我们在这个公司的价值体系理想呢，是要为人类服务，不是为金钱服务。说我们从芯片到系统，我们完全可以自己来担负起来这个东西。等到全部都5G化以后，信息的这个价格就会降下来，这样是让农村的孩子啊、贫穷的孩子啊都有条件能在网上看见这个世界，提高他们素质，他们将来为人类创造财富的能力就会增强。
Η καινοτομία ξεκινά όταν κάτι πρωτότυπο συνδυάζει τη γνώση με πρωτοποριακές τεχνολογίες, πηγαίνει πέρα από προϊόντα και διαδικασίες, αλλάζοντας τον τρόπο με τον οποίο οι άνθρωποι εργάζονται, συνδέονται και επικοινωνούν. Καινοτομία είναι να ζεις πραγματικά στο cloud, έτσι ώστε οι πληροφορίες να μετατρέπονται σε γνώση τη στιγμή που τις χρειάζεσαι για να αντλείς αξία από κάθε εργασία, κάθε συναλλαγή, κάθε μέρα. Καινοτομία είναι να μπορείς να τρέχεις ολόκληρη την επιχείρησή σου από παντού, με το πάτημα ενός κουμπιού, οποιαδήποτε στιγμή, μέσα από οποιαδήποτε συσκευή. Καινοτομία είναι όταν μπορείς να συνδέεσαι με την ταχύτητα του τώρα με οτιδήποτε, έτσι ώστε οι συνεργασίες σου να μετατρέπουν τις καθημερινές ευκαιρίες σε πραγματικά αποτελέσματα. Καινοτομία είναι όταν πίσω από όλη την τεχνολογία βρίσκεται μια νέα πλατφόρμα ειδικά σχεδιασμένη για να προσφέρει μια μοναδική εμπειρία σε κάθε χρήστη ξεχωριστά. Καινοτομία είναι όταν μπορείς να δεις σήμερα πώς πρέπει να είναι η επιχειρηματική εμπειρία στο μέλλον, μετατρέποντας κάτι ήδη εξαιρετικό σε κάτι ακόμα καλύτερο για ακόμη μία φορά. Με απλά λόγια, Καινοτομία δεν είναι να κοιτάς μπροστά. Καινοτομία είναι να είσαι μπροστά.
Του Διοικητικού Συμβουλίου του Συνδέσμου Επιχειρήσεων Πληροφορικής και Επικοινωνιών Ελλάδας, θα ήθελα να σας ευχαριστήσω θερμά για την ανταπόκριση στο ψηφιακό μας κάλεσμα. Σας καλωσορίζω στο Digital Economy Forum 2020, χτίζοντας την Ψηφιακή Ελλάδα Virtual Edition, την ψηφιακή έκδοση του θεσμικού μας συνεδρίου για την ψηφιακή οικονομία.
Κύριε Πρόεδρε, κυρίες και κύριοι, με μεγάλη χαρά ξαναβρίσκομαι στο ετήσιο φόρουμ του Συνδέσμου Επιχειρήσεων Πληροφορικής και Επικοινωνιών. Σε αποστάσεως βέβαια, αλλά ηλεκτρονικά και διαδραστικά. Με έναν τρόπο δηλαδή απόλυτα συμβατό φορέα, ο οποίος εκπροσωπεί τις δυνάμεις της υψηλής τεχνολογίας στη χώρα μας.
Dear guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of ΣΕΠΕ, I would like to welcome you to this second day of the Digital Economy Forum, Building Digital Greece Virtual Edition. In an era with unprecedented changes in terms of our reality, it is true that there are a host of opportunities to build a different reality and our future. In terms of work, economic activities, everything changes. I firmly believe that the catalyst is to utilize IT technologies in terms of health, of economy, of the competitiveness of our economy. And it is true that the pandemic has operated as an accelerator, the common denominator, the DNA, which impregnates all the sectors of the society, of the state, and which reflects all modern societies in our country. We are proud because in the midst of the crisis, our industry has been present. The IT technology has had a strong footprint, highlighting the strong challenges for all of us. The companies of the industry have supported the society, the state, and the economy, standing next to the companies and the citizens. Ladies and gentlemen, in this unprecedented crisis, the country has managed to operate at a digital level and create a success story. In few months, it took major digital leaps by supporting the daily activities of companies. At the same time, we are all convinced that this is the time to build a new modern digital Greece by putting forward the high level of our human resources and the internationally acknowledged companies. This is how we may lead developments and become leaders, producing multiply benefits for the society and the economy. So let us watch the relevant video.
Were prepared and others were not. But all of us were caught off guard by the magnitude of change. All failure is failure to adapt. Adaptability and action create opportunity. The future of work is here, and it came early. Work is no longer confined to assigned physical spaces. Each organization is a mini city in itself, with solutions at each touch point, trying to maximize the creativity, imagination, and productivity of a workforce constantly pushing the limits of possibilities. Workforce built of diverse cultures, ways of working and experiences, all coming together for a common goal. In a world where everything is connected and systems are reaching a state of perfection, the only thing that separates excellence from just good enough is you. You are the central point in one of the most transformational times in human history. Fueled by exponential digitization, mobilization, and automation, amplifying each other to create a perfect storm of change. But the question is, do you want to drive the change or be driven by it? If technology is the how of change, humans are the why. It is time to go beyond technology to reach human insights. To adapt is to move ahead, and to be more resilient, you must start engaging with what could be and not just what is. The opportunity is here to be fluid, to create not just functional environments, but adaptive, intuitive, and humanized ecosystems. The future of work is not about integrating systems. It is about integrating experiences, a chain of seamlessly linked positive encounters that transcend technology and equip your workforce with means to realize maximum potential. Future doesn't just happen. You make it happen.
The realization and carrying out this reality is a practical issue. Now, more than ever, we've got ahead an enormous opportunity. Decisions of today shall shape Europe for the next 5 years. Thus, speed is important. Let me highlight that 50% of the human resources before the crisis had to enhance in the next 5 years its skills. This must happen now, and the package of billions, it's an enormous opportunity for our country. Targeting is joint. Investments on digital technology need to be the pillar for recovery. As announced by Mrs. von der Leyen and confirmed by European leaders, at least 20% of the new funding needs to go on digitals. In this framework, Digital Europe, in a recent report concerning recovery after the pandemic, sets 5 priorities. First, digital training on skills for the integration in the labor market. Digital health, the digital transformation of SMEs and their upgrading. The digital transformation, innovation, and last but not least, digital interconnectivity of operation and functionalities, and of course, digital infrastructures. Ladies and gentlemen, ΣΕΠΕ, by being actively involved in WITSA and the Digital Europe and the ATO Observatory, by exploring data and surveys of Deloitte, has submitted a plan for the digital transformation of our country upon 4 pillars. Support towards a digital community. Second, enhancing the digital transformation of companies in the framework of the 4th technological revolution. Third, the digital upgrading of the state, and of course, last but not least, the promotion of our industry itself. This is the path forward to explore the dynamics of the sector of the industry, and this is a unique opportunity for our country, which shall be building the future. Ladies and gentlemen, the momentum of our industry is in the service of our country, now that we've got an enormous opportunity ahead to create an enormous added value by producing a new paradigm. This is the role, by definition, of our industry, to lead this fourth technological revolution, because for our industry, vision is what we haven't reached until today. Thank you.
Όχι, όχι, δεν έχουμε site, όχι, όχι. Γεια σας, γεια σας. Ρε με το site. Πρέπει να δω τι θα κάνω κάποια στιγμή.
It's now or never. Come hold me tight. Kiss me, my darling. Be mine tonight. Tomorrow will be too late. It's now or never, my love. It's now or never. Come hold me tight. Kiss me, my darling. Be mine tonight.
Η στιγμή να μπει η επιχείρησή σου στον ψηφιακό κόσμο είναι τώρα. Και στην Κοσμοτέ θα βρεις τα κατάλληλα ψηφιακά εργαλεία και τις υπηρεσίες που ανταποκρίνονται στις δικές σου ανάγκες. Για να μπορεί η επιχείρησή σου να λειτουργεί αποτελεσματικά πάντα.
Κοσμοτέ, ένας κόσμος καλύτερος για όλους.
When the sun shines, its light reveals the world in full color. But the sun radiates more than just the visible spectrum we call sunlight. It also radiates hidden electromagnetic energy. What can you do with the energy you can't see? You can heat your dinner, talk to a friend half a world away, enjoy a clean glass of water. The potential is limitless. Like the sun's energy, data streams into your organization, and much of it remains invisible and unused. But this data is full of bright possibilities for those who can see them. Using all your data can illuminate opportunities to reimagine business models, product innovations, customer experiences, and the world. By widening your spectrum of usable data, you can do so much more with it. More importantly, it can do so much more for you. Dell Technologies knows data.
Κάθε επιτυχία θέλει αφοσίωση, μέθοδο, σχεδιασμό, λύσεις. Θέλει διαδικασία. Τη νούμερο 1 ελληνική εταιρεία παροχής καινοτόμων συμβουλευτικών υπηρεσιών με διεθνή δραστηριότητα που γίνεται ένα με την αγορά και τις ανάγκες κάθε επιχείρησης. Με πάνω από 22 χρόνια εμπειρίας και ανωδικής πορείας, η διαδικασία ΑΕ παρέχει εξειδικευμένες λύσεις, πάντα με γνώμονα τα υψηλά επαγγελματικά στάνταρτς της. Δημιουργούμε. Παρέχουμε υπηρεσίες και τεχνογνωσία που επιστρέφουν αξία, υψηλή ποιότητα και σεβασμό στις ανάγκες του πελάτη, σε συνδυασμό με υπηρεσίες και εργαλεία που φέρνουν ουσιαστικά αποτελέσματα. Γιατί διαδικασία σημαίνει συνεργασία, σημαίνει επιτυχία, σημαίνει αξία.
Σήμερα κάνουμε μια σπουδαία αρχή εδώ με το πλαίσιο, με τον κύριο Γεράρδο, με το Πρωθυπουργό και ελπίζω πολλοί άλλοι να ακολουθήσουν το παράδειγμα.
Εδώ πέρα λοιπόν έχουμε ένα χώρο που έχουμε φέρει ρομποτική, έχουμε φέρει 3D printing, έχουμε φέρει και απλά πράγματα τα οποία μπορούν να φτιάξουν τρισδιάστατες κατασκευές, απλά με τα πιτσιρίκια να φέρουν μόνο τη φαντασία τους. Έχουμε μια φανταστική συνεργασία, μας έχει επιτρέψει όλη αυτή την πρωτοβουλία ο κ. Μπακογιάννης και ο Δήμος Αθηναίων, το Πολυτεχνείο Κρήτης με την κυρία Μαριάν Φιλιάπη, και ελπίζουμε αυτό να είναι μόνο η αρχή και να ξεκινήσουμε να φτιάχνουμε τέτοια εργαστήρια σε πάρα πολλά σχολεία σε όλη την Ελλάδα.
I give the floor to the former Prime Minister, Mr. Alexis Tsipras. You have the floor. I would like to thank you for the invitation to join this meeting in the framework of the Digital Economy Forum in an era which is quite harsh for the Greek economy due to the pandemic. The discussion on digital transformation is a piece of the puzzle of the digital transformation. We should not, of course, confuse modern with digital. We are not in 2000, we are in 2020. And I say so not to baptize digital and innovation, things that are self-understandable. According to my opinion, the digital transition should be based on specific principles, and in our country we've got a structural problem when we discuss not only the digital transition, but even when we discuss education, social protection, productivity. There's a challenge which is based on the fact that the public debate is prevailed by the concept that there are some arguments which are considered modern, even though they are obsolete because they cannot explore and exploit the capacities in place. So let me put forward the first principle. Greece, our country, need to be a country based on an capital-intensive economy and not a labor-intensive, because we are continuously between heavy words and the weird work in how the Greek economy has been structured and organized for decades. An economy based on innovation and investment, on products and services of high added value, is an economy which is structured on its human resources. However, in a country where 12% of the labor market in a year or less has ended up working with very low wages, and the young people unemployment is the highest in Europe, this is impossible. We need to choose a different path. The main features of this different direction are three. First, protection of labor. If the goal is to increase productivity of a well-trained labor force, then we need to provide the best working conditions and safety conditions to achieve our goal. Second, investments on research and education. For more than 2 decades, the concept that those are non-productive sector has prevailed, and this is a mistake. We need to accept and acknowledge that the global competition develops in the field of education, of sciences, and of new technologies. Thus, Greece can't be just a customer and consumer of digital services, and for this reason we need to create the incentives to enhance the productive forces that can produce products and create added value with the involvement of the research and of the academic community. And a third feature, enhancement of new endeavors of innovation and of startup companies. The state needs to support ambitious concepts instead of allocating and distributing money to few people. Thus, we need well-targeted projects to activate startup and small enterprises to avoid creating oligopolies. Second principle is relevant to lifting inequalities. It is of very little importance to build a theoretical debate. A debate needs to take into account the structural challenges and problems that have remained in our country for years. And I shall attempt to explain it by putting forward 2 examples: teleeducation and click away in the commerce. Which is the common point? 2 sectors, 2 that have been publicized as an innovation, whereas in reality they were planned in a void space. Why? Because of the lack of necessary infrastructure so that they could operate efficiently. So the answer can be the typical one which exists for all questions and is put forward by the Prime Minister and or the parents that have a bad connection back home, or a trader that haven't got the resources to have an e-shop, because this answer makes digital transformation, instead of a tool, to an accelerator of inequalities. So those who can may survive, all others shall be left behind. We claim that we cannot operate and work in this way, not as a productive paradigm, neither as a modern European society. So which are the actions that can bridge this gap? Well, it can be bridged only by means of public interventions and well-targeted public investments on laptops, tablets for the students, the employees, so that fast and cheap internet may be ensured, meaning the ultra-fast broadband project for the development of broadband services, a project that we have announced back in 2019, at the beginning of 2019. And again, the state needs to be there and support the digital transformation of SMEs, which represent 9 out of 10 enterprises in our country. So a specific plan is required for the allocation of resources to support e-commerce, so that a central platform be created for digital procurement, services that need to be made available by the chambers. And this has been another proposal that we have submitted. And again, we should not forget the goal relevant to the lifting of obstacles put forward by the banks in terms of e-commerce by adding up an additional burden on small traders. Thus, lifting inequalities is a prerequisite for the digital transition if we wanted it to be inclusive and not just a transition for few people. And again, this requires the active intervention and involvement of a strong, effective and fair state. It is not an issue that can be left to the invisible hand of the markets. And the third principle, speaking about digital transition, is relevant to the state itself that I've been discussing earlier, meaning the digital transformation of the state. It is the digital transformation of the country per se. This transformation may be distinguished in 2 levels. One, the training of the citizen, and second, the digital organization of the country itself, of the state itself. We cannot have a digital transformation of the state without having a similar course for all its citizens. Thus, we need fixed structures and production of quality projects, training projects that can bring together all citizens to help them embrace those skills while they'll be having a well-established feeling of safety and security vis-à-vis those technologies. Projects that need to be continuously evaluated and assessed, involving all citizens, irrespective to their age, their educational level, and so on and so forth. Second, and equally important level is relevant to the digital transformation of the state, as I mentioned earlier, of the services the state provides to the citizens, so that the transaction time be reduced and effective be increased. Allow me to say, to give examples of significant interventions that we have started when we were government, when we were in office, such as the creation of a strong hub, interoperability hub, to have connected all public registers providing services to the public authorities as well. The integration of EFCA, the integration of the e-document, the smart cities register for all local authorities. Our country need to be producing solutions, investing on smart cities and on sustainable urban development. Recall of a smart rural development, smart infrastructure to cover all cultivable land. There is the CISEFXIS project for broadband services in the country for teleservicing of our citizens, the creation of the single cover localization center, the telemedicine network through the upgrading of the national e-medicine for the interconnection of hospitals and the primary sector. And last but not least, free and safe platform for a modern tele-education by means of the Pan-Hellenic network, the WebEx network, by exploring CISEFXIS2, by identifying users from gov.gr. Those are significant projects that we had initiated, that we have started, interventions that are still in progress and need to be completed by the new government. Dear friends, I've tried to highlight those principles that need to guide us ahead. The digital economy, I believe, is part of a way to move forward for our country, and we should not allow, in the name of personal accountability, to have a weird digital Darwinism which shall marginalize large parts of our population. The 20th century first societies should not remain stagnant because of principles that promote unleashed benefits against common benefit. Our country, after a long-term financial crisis and the current pandemic, needs to reimagine its future once we have left behind this current crisis. The learning, the lesson learned, the global lesson learned for our country, like after this crisis, is as follows. The inequalities, social, financial, and digital inequalities shall be enormous obstacles to overcoming their future. We may eliminate it by investing on the education, on the strength of science, of the technology, in a way that they'll all three be serving the community and the society. With those few insights, those few words. I believe I've managed to express our concept regarding the topic of this forum. And thank you for the invitation, and I hope next year we'll be having it face to face. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alexis Tsipras, former PM. We'll go ahead with the Ambassador of USA, Mr. Payet. You have the floor. Καλημέρα σας και σας ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ. Ευχαριστώ τον ΣΕΠΕ που με κάλεσε σε αυτό το φόρουμ του Digital Economy. Συνήθιζα να λέω ότι η ανάπτυξη της Ελλάδας έχει να κάνει με την καινοτομία της κατά την οικονομική κρίση, διότι είχατε ένα καταπληκτικό success story, όμως τώρα το sequel έχει προχωρήσει περαιτέρω. Έφτασα στην Ελλάδα πριν από 4 χρόνια και αμέσως εντυπωσιάστηκα από το ταλέντο, από την δημιουργικότητα των νεαρών Ελλήνων στα πανεπιστήμια, στα εργαστήρια και σε τεχνολογικά project ανά τη χώρα. Οι φοιτητές, οι νέοι επαγγελματίες πεινούσαν για ευκαιρίες να μπορέσουν να βάλουν το πάθος τους και τις γνώσεις τους σε τέτοιες ιστορίες επιτυχίας, με μεγάλη ανθεκτικότητα, με προσαρμοστικότητα που αντιστοιχεί με τους νέους ανθρώπους και στην δική μου πολιτεία της Καλιφόρνια. Ήξερα λοιπόν ότι το οικοσύστημα που είναι λίγο πολύ ίδιο με αυτό της Καλιφόρνια μπορεί να φέρει μακροχρόνια ανάπτυξη, αειφόρα ανάπτυξη στην Ελλάδα. Στην πρεσβεία μας συστηματικά έχουμε μείνει σε αυτό το θέμα, βλέποντας όλο αυτό το δυναμικό των νέων Ελλήνων επιχειρηματιών και επιστημόνων με τα Tech Camp αλλά και άλλα τεχνολογικά project. Έχουμε δει όλη αυτή την πρόοδο που τα τελευταία 4 χρόνια μπορώ να πω ότι πραγματικά ήταν τρομερή, εξαιρετική, και σήμερα μπορώ να πω ότι όλοι το έχουν μάθει αυτό. Η Ελλάδα έχει πλέον την προσοχή του παγκόσμιου στερεώματος, θεωρείται destination, θεωρείται προορισμός για την τεχνολογία, χάρη και στον κύριο Μητσοτάκη και την ομάδα του. Έχει μεγάλη υποστήριξη από την Αμερικανική κυβέρνηση, από την Αμερικανική πρεσβεία. Ο κύριος Πομπέο μαζί με τον κύριο Γεωργιάδη υπέγραψαν μία διμερή σύμβαση συνεργασίας. Και μάλιστα το State Department, ο Dr. Manchain, ήρθε τον περασμένο μήνα στην Αθήνα για να συζητήσει πώς αυτή η νέα συμφωνία μπορεί να επιταχύνει τη μεταβίβαση της τεχνολογίας από τα εργαστήρια στην αγορά, επίσης και στο εμπόριο, αλλά και όλες μας τις σχέσεις. Η ΗΠΑ αλλά και η Ελλάδα εργάζονται για περαιτέρω συνεργασία στην artificial intelligence, στην κυβερνοασφάλεια, αλλά και σε όλες τις τεχνολογίες εχμής με αμερικανικές εταιρείες και ερευνητές. Pfizer, Cisco, Deloitte έχουν αυξήσει το αποτύπωμά τους σε αυτή τη βιομηχανία και τα κέντρα καινοτομία τους προσλαμβάνουν πάρα πολλούς πτυχιούχους από Θεσσαλονίκη, κυρίως όπου έχει κορυφαία πανεπιστήμια. Ο Άλμπερτ Πούλα μου είπε ότι οι επενδύσεις της Pfizer έχουν ξεπεράσει κάθε προσδοκία και είπε ότι η Pfizer θα ανοίξει και ένα δεύτερο hub στη Θεσσαλονίκη με ακόμα 350 άτομα προσωπικό που θα προσλάβει. Με τον διευθυντή της Cisco συναντήθηκα στη Θεσσαλονίκη και εντυπωσιάστηκα διότι και αυτοί θέλουν να προωθήσουν τις διάφορες εφαρμογές digital καινοτομίας σε συνεργασία με το Υπουργείο Ανάπτυξης και ψηφιακής διακυβέρνησης. Πραγματικά είμαι πεπισμένος ότι αυτό το ρεύμα, το ψηφιακό έχει έρθει για να μείνει στην Ελλάδα. Πλέον δεν με ρωτάει κανείς πού είναι η Θεσσαλονίκη, απλά μου λένε πού αλλού μπορούμε να επενδύσουμε. Σε κάποιες κτήσεις από μεγάλες αμερικανικές εταιρείες όπως είναι η Microsoft και για εφαρμοσμένα υλικά. Τι ξέρουν όλοι αυτοί που δεν ξέρουμε εμείς? Αυτό με ρωτάνε κάποιες μεγάλες αμερικανικές εταιρείες. Ο κύριος Μητσοτάκης και η κυβέρνησή του στέλνουν πάρα πολλά τέτοια σημάδια για την ψηφιακή μεταμόρφωση της Ελλάδας. Η πανδημία τελικά βοήθησε στην επιτάχυνση της ψηφιοποίησης ολόκληρης της κυβέρνησης και με αυτούς τους κωδικούς πλέον υπάρχει μια πολιτική κουλτούρα που διευκολύνει την πρόοδο της Ελλάδας προς το μέλλον, το ψηφιακό μέλλον. Όλες αυτές τις μεταρρυθμίσεις έχουν γίνει πλέον στην Ελλάδα και βοηθούν στην οικονομική της ανάκτηση πολύ πιο γρήγορα μετά από αυτήν την πανδημία. Θεωρώ ότι θα υπάρχει ακόμα μεγαλύτερη ανάπτυξη τα επόμενα χρόνια. Η Ελλάδα επίσης πάντα ήταν μπροστά στην καμπύλη που έδειχνε το 5G της τεχνολογίας σε όλες τις πτυχές της ζωής μας, από την εθνική ασφάλεια, από την πνευματική ιδιοκτησία μέχρι την οικονομική ανάπτυξη. Χειροκροτάμε το 5G της Κοσμοτέ με την Ericsson που είναι ο έμπιστος vendor της, βάζοντας την Ελλάδα μέσα σε αυτό το πράσινο δίκτυο. Ξέρω ότι υπήρξε και με την Ericsson επίσης και μια αντίστοιχη σύμβαση για το 5G και ξέρω ότι και μαζί και με την Vodafone θα υπάρξει την επόμενη χρονιά μια αντίστοιχη ανάπτυξη στο τεχνολογικό αυτό τομέα. Έχουμε πάρα πολλές τεχνολογίες με την Φέστος για παράδειγμα, στην Αττική, στη Θεσσαλονίκη, φέτος στην Άνοιξη. Μαζί με τους Έλληνες εταίρους επίσης θα θέλουμε και Αμερικανοί επενδυτές να έρθουν στην Ελλάδα και να δουν όλα αυτά τα πλεονεκτήματα της εντοβάθης συνεργασίας μεταξύ Ελλάδας και Αμερικής στον τεχνολογικό τομέα. Η Ελλάδα μαζί με μεγάλες αμερικανικές εταιρείες μπορούν να κερδίσουν μεγάλα στοιχήματα καινοτομίας και μεταμόρφωσης στην Ελλάδα. Και υπάρχουν πάρα πολλά περίπλοκα κέντρα δεδομένων που θα βοηθήσουν πάρα πολύ όλα αυτά τα hub και τις ψηφιακές και υπολογιστές υπηρεσίες. Υπάρχει και ένας χειριστής όπως για παράδειγμα είναι η Amazon αλλά και κάποια άλλα κέντρα διαχείρισης δεδομένων που μπορούν να συνεργαστούν με cloud τεχνολογία. Και αυτό με το cloud και με το ασφαλές 5G δίκτυο της Ελλάδας μπορούν να συνεργαστούν και με αυτόν τον τρόπο θα μπορούν απομακρυσμένα αλλά και σε πραγματικό χρόνο να βρίσκουν συντονισμένα όλο το cloud μεγάλες εταιρείες. Υπάρχουν πλέον αυτό που ονομάζουμε digital nomads, ψηφιακοί νομάδες και είναι εκείνοι που ψάχνουν παντού να βρουν όλες αυτές τις υπηρεσίες που χρειάζονται και μάλιστα αυτού του είδους η δομή μπορεί να βοηθήσει πάρα πολύ από την μετανάστευση μέχρι και το brain drain. Τώρα η Ελλάδα, κάνοντας συνέργειες μαζί με την Αμερική, μπορεί να μεγενθύνει τον οικονομικό της αντίκτυπο σε όλη την νοτιοανατολική Ευρώπη. Οι μεγάλοι γίγαντες της αμερικανικής τεχνολογίας μπορούν να δώσουν τις δεξιότητές τους σε αυτό το νέο επαγγελματικό περιβάλλον. Η Microsoft είπε ότι θα καταρτήσει πάνω από 1.000 επαγγελματίες και φοιτητές στην Ελλάδα σε ψηφιακές τεχνολογίες. Η Google $1 εκατομμύριο σε επιχορηγήσεις για δεξιότητες τεχνολογικού και ψηφιακού χαρακτήρα σε ευάλωτες ομάδες. Μπορείτε λοιπόν να καταλάβετε ότι θα υπάρξουν πάρα πολλές ευκαιρίες απασχόλησης με συνδεδεμένες εταιρείες από την Αμερική που έρχονται να προετοιμάσουν τους Έλληνες σε καινοτόμα εργαλεία, κάτι που θα βοηθήσει πάρα πολύ τον αντίκτυπο των άμεσων επενδύσεων. Ξέρουμε ότι θα πληρώνονται λόγω αυτών των συνεργειών και με άλλους τομείς και από την προσθέμενη αξία που θα δημιουργηθεί, θα πληρώνονται με μερίσματα σε όλους εμάς για πάρα πολλά χρόνια στο μέλλον. Υπάρχουν όμως και μοιρασμένοι στόχοι για το περιβάλλον. Η Ελλάδα είναι ένας διαμοιραστής, κατανεμητής πολλών πόρων για όλη την Ευρώπη. Ο κύριος Μητσοτάκης έχει φιλόδοξους στόχους. Θέλει να μειώσει έως εξαλείψει τον λιγνίτη μέχρι το 2050. και υπάρχει μεγάλη υποστήριξη από πλευράς της Αμερικής προκειμένου να γίνει ένα μεγάλο τεχνολογικό hub ολόκληρη η Ελλάδα για την νοτιοανατολική Ευρώπη, ακόμα και την Μέση Ανατολή, δημιουργώντας στην πορεία πολύ μεγαλύτερη αειφορία αλλά και σταθερότητα και θέτοντας εκτός ανεργίας τους περισσότερους Έλληνες. Είμαστε πεπισμένοι ότι πρέπει να συνεργαστούμε με τον κύριο Μητσοτάκη και με την ομάδα του προκειμένου να δώσουμε μία διέξοδο σε αυτή τη μεγάλη δύναμη των Ελλήνων και της Ελλάδας, και θεωρώ ότι αυτό το πάθος είναι αυτό που κάνει και την ελληνική διασπορά τόσο επιτυχημένη στο εξωτερικό. Αποτελεί πολύ μεγάλο κίνητρο και όλο αυτό το βλέπουμε και στον Άλμπερτ Μπούλα, που είναι ο CEO της Pfizer και ο οποίος είναι Έλληνας στην προέλευσή του. Θα κάνουμε ό,τι μπορούμε για να κρατήσουμε αυτό το momentum με τις καλύτερες δυνατές επενδυτικές σχέσεις που έχουμε σε όλη αυτή την περίοδο ανάκτησης από την πανδημία και όταν η νέα διοίκηση στις ΗΠΑ αναλάβει την εξουσία. Ελπίζουμε ότι το 2021 με τα 200η επέτειο της ανεξαρτησίας της Ελλάδας θα γιορτάσουμε μαζί και την ψηφιοποίηση της Ελλάδας. Σας ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ.
Thank you very much, dear Ambassador, Mr. Payet. It is a pleasure for me to welcome a friend from Brussels, Celia Bonfire Dalle. You have the floor.
Οραματιζόμαστε έναν κόσμο συναρπαστικής ψυχαγωγίας και απεριόριστης επικοινωνίας. Ξεκινήσαμε φέρνοντας το ίντερνετ και τη συνδρομητική τηλεόραση στην Ελλάδα. Από τότε δημιουργούμε κάθε μέρα το μέλλον με τόλμη και φαντασία. Έχουμε την καινοτομία στο DNA μας. Βλέπουμε σαν πρόκληση τις σύγχρονες ανάγκες. Είμαστε άνθρωποι με χαμόγελο και πάθος για αυτό που κάνουμε. Σχεδιάζουμε υπηρεσίες με έμπνευση. Παθιαζόμαστε με τις κορυφαίες αθλητικές διοργανώσεις.
Καταπληκτικό!
Αγαπάμε το συναρπαστικό κινηματογραφικό θέαμα. Ενθουσιαζόμαστε με τις ποιοτικές επιλογές ψυχαγωγίας και με τις μοναδικές δυνατότητες επικοινωνίας. Προσαρμοζόμαστε στα νέα δεδομένα, αλλά ξέρουμε και να τα αλλάζουμε. Πατάμε γερά στα πόδια μας και φτάνουμε παντού. Επιλέγουμε δύσκολους στόχους και τους πετυχαίνουμε. Καταλαβαίνουμε τους επαγγελματίες και τις επιχειρήσεις, γι' αυτό μας εμπιστεύονται. Προσφέρουμε. Στηρίζουμε. Γινόμαστε ένα με την κοινωνία και κερδίζουμε την αναγνώριση. Ανοίγουμε τον δρόμο που ακολουθούν οι άλλοι. Είμαστε δυνατή ομάδα, με ισχυρή προσωπικότητα και μεγάλη εμπειρία. Πάνω από 20 χρόνια αλλάζουμε τον τρόπο που επικοινωνούμε, που βλέπουμε τον κόσμο, που διασκεδάζουμε. Δεν είμαστε απλά μια εταιρεία. Είμαστε ένας συναρπαστικός τρόπος ζωής.
Big data that would always get bigger, ever increasing, ever expanding. Every car, a sensor. Every phone, a suggestion. Every region, a cloud. Everything, a thing. Data was the golden promise of the information age. But more informed does not equal more intelligent. It's time to move to a new age, the age of insight. Now, insights can combine with other insights, and ideas can have ideas. Everything from edge to cloud can be connected by a single force, revealing opportunities you never knew were there. For smoother experiences, more intuitive products, and services yet to be imagined. Now entire workflows can move faster, powered by supercomputers built to the task. Solutions delivered as a service, from analysis at the edge to operations in the cloud. Wherever your data, wherever your applications, they'll be faster, accessible, and secure, bringing everything in sight. Welcome to the age of insight.
Labradoodles, cronuts, skorts.
It's a skirt and shorts.
The world loves a hybrid. So do businesses. So today, they're going hybrid with IBM. A hybrid cloud approach lets them use Watson AI to modernize without rebuilding and bring all their partners and customers together in one place. That's why businesses from retail to banking are going with a smarter hybrid cloud using the tools, platform, and expertise of IBM.
Good afternoon again. As I mentioned earlier, we get connected with Brussels, a very good friend, Celia Bonfield-Dahl, who has been supporting this conference and ΣΕΠΕ through the European digital industry. Cecilia, you have the floor. Γεια σας, καλησπέρα. Καλησπέρα Γιάννη. Καλησπέρα Cecilia. Καλησπέρα από την Αθήνα στις Βρυξέλλες. Χαιρόμαστε που είσαι μαζί μας. Ευχαριστώ πολύ για την πρόσκληση. Θα ήθελα πολύ να ήμουν στην Ελλάδα. Ελπίζω να έρθω του χρόνου. Να μπορέσω να έρθω του χρόνου. Θα μιλήσω λίγο για την ανάκαμψη. Όπως ξέρεις καλά Γιάννη, η Digital Europe δουλεύει πάνω σε αυτό το πρόγραμμα ψηφιακής ανάκαμψης και έχει υπάρξει ένα σημαντικός παίκτης σε αυτό το πλαίσιο. 750 εκατομμύρια έχουν διατεθεί για την ανάκαμψη της Ευρώπης και με κατάπληξη βλέπουμε ότι ναι, ότι όντως θα πάρουμε ένα 25% από αυτή τη χρηματοδότηση που είναι αποκλειστικά για τα ψηφιακά. Δεν ξέρω αν βλέπετε τις διαφάνειές μου. Ευχαριστώ πολύ. Ας πάμε στην πρώτη διαφάνεια λοιπόν. Η Φόντερ Λάιεν είναι μια καταπληκτική ηγέτης και έχει ξεκαθαρίσει ότι αυτή θα είναι η ψηφιακή δεκαετία κατά τη φάση της ανάκαμψης. Είμαστε πολύ κοντά με το Συμβούλιο και την Επιτροπή και συζητάμε τη σπουδαιότητα των ψηφιακών σε πολλές χώρες. Οι πολλές χώρες είναι πίσω στο επίπεδο αυτό και θα πρέπει να επιταχυνθούν οι δράσεις ώστε τα σχολεία να μπορούν να υλοποιούν εκπαιδευτικά προγράμματα με τα παιδιά στο σπίτι, αλλά και σε άλλους κλάδους και τομείς να συμβαίνει το ίδιο. Υπάρχει μεγάλη γνώση σχετικά με το πώς τα ψηφιακά μπορούν να στηρίξουν και να επιταχύνουν ενέργειες ακόμα και στην διερεύνηση του εμβολίου και στον εντοπισμό κρουσμάτων κτλ. Είναι πολύ σημαντικό, διότι έτσι όπως είπε και η Φοντερ Λάιν, αυτή θα είναι η ψηφιακή και η πράσινη δεκαετία για την Ευρώπη και για όλο τον κόσμο. Όσον αφορά την Ελλάδα, μπορούμε να πούμε μόνο, να αναφέρουμε κάποιες παραμέτρους υπομορφή αριθμών. Δυστυχώς είναι πολύ χαμηλά στην ψηφιακή ανάπτυξη και περιμένουμε να δούμε μεγάλες επενδύσεις στον τομέα αυτό, και ειδικά και όσον αφορά τις δεξιότητες. Υπάρχουν πολλοί ταλαντούχοι άνθρωποι και θα έλεγα ότι αν αξίζει ένα πράγμα, αξίζει να επενδύσει κανένας, είναι στις δεξιότητες. Αλλά βέβαια αυτό δεν αρκεί. Χρειάζονται και άλλα πράγματα, όπως συνδεσιμότητα, όπως η τεχνητή νοημοσύνη κτλ. Στις πόλεις, από την άλλη πλευρά, υπάρχει μια κάλυψη μόνο 40% ευρυζωνική κάλυψη. Και από την άλλη πλευρά υπάρχουν και μεγάλες αγροτικές περιοχές στις οποίες είναι αδύνατο τα σχολεία να συνδεθούν στη Γερμανία. Όμως συμβαίνει και εκεί κάτι παρόμοιο. Μεγάλες αγροτικές περιοχές δεν μπορούν να συνδεθούν. Άρα λοιπόν θα πρέπει κανένας να επενδύσει στις δεξιότητες, στα ψηφιακά, και τώρα λοιπόν που υπάρχει χρηματοδότηση από την Επιτροπή θα δούμε να γίνονται σημαντικά βήματα μπροστά και ευχαριστούμε και τον Γιάννη που έχει συμβάλει σε αυτό. Τι έχει γίνει λοιπόν, τι έχει κάνει η Digital Europe? 750 δισεκατομμύρια τα οποία θα επενδυθούν μεταξύ του 2021 και του 2023, και με τη χρηματοδότηση του Horizon 20 θα έχουμε τη δυνατότητα να χρησιμοποιήσουμε και αυτά τα κονδύλια για να οργανώσουμε προγράμματα στις δεξιότητες. Βασικά εδώ βλέπετε τις επενδύσεις και τις δεξιότητες, και πέραν αυτών θα υπάρξει και ένα 20% που θα δεσμευτεί από το Ταμείο Ανάκαμψης. Στο σχέδιο λοιπόν το ψηφιακό της Επιτροπής αυτή τη στιγμή έχει ήδη υποβάλει η Ισπανία ένα σχέδιο με μια στόχευση 35%. Οι περισσότερες όμως χώρες ακόμα τα επεξεργάζονται. Ο ΣΕΠΕ, γνωρίζω και είμαι βεβαία ότι προσπαθεί να ανταλλάξει και να μοιραστεί την εμπειρία του σχετικά με τα σχέδια αυτά, και είμαι βεβαία ότι θα στοχεύσει τελικώς το πλάνο σας στη σωστή κατεύθυνση. Δημοσιεύσαμε περίπου πριν ένα μήνα έναν οδηγό επενδύσεων σχετικά με το πώς μπορούν να επενδυθούν και να ξοδευτούν τα χρήματα αυτά. Είδαμε ότι πολλές κυβερνήσεις αλλά και η ίδια η Ευρώπη έχει μια εικόνα και ξέρει πώς μπορούν να ξοδευτούν αυτά τα χρήματα. Παρότι η εμπειρία είναι μικρή, είναι σαφές ποιοι είναι οι οδηγοί της κάθε οικονομίας. Εδώ βλέπετε αυτούς τους 5 που έχουμε προσδιορίσει: την ψηφιακή εκπαίδευση και δεξιότητες, τον τομέα της υγείας. Σε κάθε περίπτωση 52% του εργατικού δυναμικού θα πρέπει να επαναεκπαιδευτεί, διότι ειδικά στον τομέα του τουρισμού στην Ελλάδα και στην Ισπανία, που είναι μια βαριά βιομηχανία, οι άνθρωποι θα πρέπει να μάθουν καινούργια πράγματα, ώστε οι θέσεις εργασίας τους να έχουν μεγάλη προστιθέμενη αξία. Αλλά όλα αυτά σημαίνουν ότι θα πρέπει να υπάρξει μεγάλη επένδυση όχι μόνο στην εκπαίδευση, στις δεξιότητες, αλλά και στην artificial intelligence που αφορά τον τομέα των μεταποιητικών, τις μεταφορές. Και εκεί λοιπόν ένα μεγάλο ποσοστό των απασχολούμενων θα πρέπει να ενημερώσει τη γνώση του και τις δεξιότητές του. Θέλουμε αυτές οι προσπάθειες του reskilling να είναι μέρος των δραστηριοτήτων σε αυτή την επόμενη ψηφιακή δεκαετία. Επίσης, ο δεύτερος άξονας, η ψηφιακή υγεία και η ψηφιοποίηση των μικρομεσαίων επιχειρήσεων. Ο ψηφιακός τους μετασχηματισμός είναι απαραίτητος εάν θέλουμε να ενισχύσουμε τις κοινωνίες σε παγκόσμιο επίπεδο. Και αυτό ακριβώς σκοπεύει να κάνει η Επιτροπή. Αλλά βεβαίως όλα αυτά δεν μπορεί να γίνουν χωρίς διασυνδεσιμότητα και υποδομές. Τίποτα δεν μπορεί να υλοποιηθεί. Μπορείτε να βρείτε το σχετικό οδηγό, το how to spend it, πώς να τα ξοδέψετε στην ιστοσελίδα μας και να το μελετήσετε. Ας δούμε όμως και κάποια KPIs, κάποιους σημαντικούς δείκτες που αφορούν ακριβώς το ζήτημα της ψηφιοποίησης. Όπως είπα και πριν, σε κάποιους τομείς και ειδικά στις αγροτικές περιοχές η συνδεσιμότητα είναι πολύ χαμηλή. Σε κάποιες χώρες τα παιδιά που εδώ για 9 μήνες λόγω του lockdown δεν μπορούν να πάνε στο σχολείο και οι δάσκαλοι δεν έχουν τη δυνατότητα να φτάσουν κοντά τους ψηφιακά, αλλά και πολλοί υπάλληλοι στις δουλειές τους. Εκεί λοιπόν θα πρέπει να εστιάσει κανένας και βλέπουμε να υπάρχει μια τεράστια δυναμική εξέλιξη σε αυτό το τομέα. Εκεί είναι απαραίτητες οι υποδομές, οι ψηφιακές υποδομές που θα επιτρέψουν την παράδοση αυτών των υπηρεσιών. Τώρα, οι μικρομεσαίες επιχειρήσεις που είναι ένας μεγάλος παίκτης σε ευρωπαϊκό επίπεδο και εδώ αυτό που παρατηρούμε είναι μια έλλειψη δεδομένων. Η αλήθεια είναι ότι είναι πολύ αποθαρρυντικά τα δεδομένα διότι και σε επίπεδο δεδομένων αλλά και δεξιοτήτων σε πολλές χώρες της Ευρώπης οι απασχολούμενοι έχουν μείνει πίσω. Και η Ευρώπη θα θέλαμε πολύ σύντομα να είναι ο χώρος που θα φιλοξενήσει τουλάχιστον το 25% των παγκόσμιων unicorns. Επίσης, τα analytics, τα οποία χρησιμοποιούνται από πολύ μικρό ποσοστό των ευρωπαϊκών μικρομεσαίων επιχειρήσεων και δεν αναφέρουμε μόνο σε δημόσια δεδομένα, βλέπουμε μεγάλη ανάπτυξη και εξέλιξη δεδομένων και βλέπουμε ότι είναι αναγκασμένοι να πηγαίνουν από τη μία υπηρεσία στην άλλη. Όλα αυτά τα δεδομένα θα πρέπει να είναι σε ψηφιακή μορφή και διαθέσιμα μέσα από αναλύτης, ώστε να μπορούν να δίνουν και διασυνοριακά μία εικόνα του τι συμβαίνει σε κάθε κλάδο. Στον ψηφιακό τουρισμό, σε άλλους τομείς παροχής υπηρεσιών. Διάθεση λοιπόν δεδομένων και διασφάλιση ότι 50% τουλάχιστον των μικρομεσαίων επιχειρήσεων μπορεί να τα χρησιμοποιήσει αυτά. Και η τελευταία διαφάνεια, οι ψηφιακές δεξιότητες που, όπως είπα και πριν, είναι καταπληκτικό το πόσο σημαντικό είναι να γνωρίζουν οι άνθρωποι, να έχουν γνώση των ψηφιακών εργαλείων, να μπορούν να έχουν μια θέση εργασίας και να ανταποκριθούν στις σύγχρονες ψηφιακές απαιτήσεις της. Αυτό είναι σημαντικό και για την ανάπτυξη και για τη σταθερότητα της οικονομίας μας στην Ευρώπη. Ζούμε όμως σε μια δημοκρατία. Αν θέλουμε οι άνθρωποι να συμμετέχουν όχι σε αυτή τη νέα ψηφιακή εποχή που δεν είναι επιστημονική φαντασία, θα πρέπει καταρχήν να έχουν δικαίωμα και πρόσβαση σε αυτές τις δεξιότητες. Στη Δανία υπάρχουν εταιρείες οι οποίες διευκολύνουν την επικοινωνία των σχολείων με τους μαθητές ή βοηθούν και σε άλλες δράσεις. Οργανώνουν ειδικά τμήματα, ας πούμε, για να μάθουν για το πλαστικό τα παιδιά. Έτσι λοιπόν δημιουργείται μία τριμερής σχέση σε ένα ψηφιακό επίπεδο που δεν είναι μόνο 100% μάθηση ή παιχνίδι, αλλά αφορά και μια άλλη δημιουργική διάσταση και μια δημιουργική λύση που μπορεί να προσφέρει το σχολείο. Και η τελευταία διαφάνεια, τι μπορούμε να προβλέψουμε? Μπορούμε να προβλέψουμε άρα για το μέλλον και τις μελλοντικές δουλειές? Μπορούμε να φοδιάσουμε ανάλογα τον κόσμο μας? Συζητάμε στην Digital Europe και με το Γιάννη πώς μπορούμε στην εποχή μετά τον COVID να βρούμε project τα οποία θα μπορέσουν να στηρίξουν συγκεκριμένους κλάδους, όχι μόνο μέσα από το Ταμείο Ανάκαμψης, αλλά και μέσα από άλλες διαδρομές, ώστε τελικά να επιτευχθεί η συνολική ανάκαμψη της Ευρώπης μετά από την πανδημία. Αυτά είχα να σας πω εντάχει για την Digital Europe. Ελπίζω να σας εξήγησα αρκετά πράγματα και θα πρέπει να ξέρετε ότι η Ελλάδα μέσα από το Γιάννη συνδέεται πολύ δυνατά με την Ευρώπη και όλες τις άλλες ευρωπαϊκές χώρες. Σας ευχαριστώ πολύ και πάλι, και πάλι χαίρομαι που υπάρχει αυτή η σχέση της Ελλάδας με τη Digital Europe. Σε ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ. Με χαρά είδαμε το πρόγραμμα ανάκαμψης για τον κλάδο και την ψηφιακή Ευρώπη, έτσι όπως μας το παρουσίασες, και υπολογίζουμε πραγματικά σε αυτό. Σε ευχαριστώ πολύ.
Can data inspire us to achieve what once seemed impossible? We believe the potential of a data-driven world is infinite. Oceans of information processed in the blink of an eye. Novel approaches to intractable challenges. Insights that fuel breakthrough innovation. Previously undreamed of results. It's all in the data. The possibilities are endless. Researchers identify cures for cancer. Agrobiologists create smart hives to provide food security for the planet. Aid organizations deliver relief faster. Scientists mitigate climate change and utilities provide safer, cleaner energy. New business models build entirely new industries. It's in the data. In a cloud-enabled world, machine learning combines with human ingenuity, and the possible becomes achievable. At Oracle, we help people find the value in data so that they can achieve the extraordinary.
Hello. We are in the Digital Economy Forum of 2020 with ΣΕΠΕ that allows us to take off our masks and speak for the next session with our Minister of Finance, Mr. Saikouras, and Minister of Growth and Investments, Adonios Georgiadis. First of all, can we have investments in the digital technology field? Is this field one with perspective? And secondly, capitals under these conditions that may inflow in Greece, are they capitals that come quickly? Should they do something about it? So let's see what Mr. Saikouras has to tell us. Mr. Saikouras, you have the floor. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'd like to thank ΣΕΠΕ for this honorary invitation and, of course, congratulate ΣΕΠΕ for this organization, once again, of the Digital Economy Forum. This organization this year takes place in a very uncertain period worldwide. Health systems are under great pressure. Economies are overwhelmed and a lot of pressure is exercised on society. However, our country has showed great resilience in this exogenous shock. The government, in response to this very serious health crisis of the last 100 years, has adopted and implements a succinct package of measures to support economy amounting 24 billion euros in this year and 7.5 in 2021. So it's the resources that will inflow from the recovery fund in the years to come. So having now a very broad safety nets over households and enterprises in order to diminish the negative income of the pandemic, we are now working for the next day systematically in order to achieve a strong recovery and, after the end of the pandemic, the establishment of a sustainable growth. We have the reform of the economic model of the country, increase of productivity and improvement of quantity and quality of our resources. Now we see an opportunity in front of us in order to see how we can resume our forces and try to move forward with the new digital technologies. We have now an instrument, a tool to achieve our goals. In this context, in the last year, we have accelerated the pace of digitalization of a series of public administration processes, remote working, and the exploitation of technologies from the public but also the private sector at the same time. We have promoted connectivity through very advanced networks. Digital transformation of the economy has been and still is a national but also European priority. Without any doubt, it is the main pillar for the accomplishment of the objectives I just mentioned. To this end, the means are policies to attract investments focusing on industry, new technologies, infrastructure, green growth. These are policies that can support healthy enterprises by improving regulatory framework, policies for the promotion of research and technology, for the upgrade of education and training. emphasizing on these sectors, our efforts focus on creating a productive model based on products and services of high added value in sectors of activity where we have a benefit, a comparative advantage, but also in other fields where we want to create comparative advantages. So we try to recompose the GDP elements in order to close the gap, develop our competitivity and be more flexible. The government and the Ministry of Finance realizes four main strategic political priorities. First priority is to reduce fiscal rates. So today's government has reduced certain fiscal contributions, such as the tax, property tax. We also give tax incentives for investments in green economy, energy, digitalization. We also have investment incentives for technological and scientific research. We also gave incentives to natural persons contributing with capitals to healthy companies. We have reduced social security contributions. We have reduced property tax. And within this health crisis, we have done further tax reductions and contribution reductions because in the context of EU institutions, European budgets cannot only have budgetary expenditure reductions. So we also reduced the advance payment for the income tax of businesses and natural persons, but also social security contributions by 3% of the employed private employees. We also abolish the solidarity contribution by for those who are liberal professionals. We do hope that depending on the finances of the country and the priorities of the government, that maybe for some taxes, for some contributions, that such reductions may become permanent. And since brain drain during the crisis has been an important negative impact for the country, we have tried to reform our tax system in order to reverse that. Such a reform is the reform about tax residence. We started in the end of 2019 with Law 4646 with the institutional of the non-residents. That was targeting non-residents that stay in Greece and are exempted from certain taxation. So we also gave tax incentives in order to attract foreign workers, but also Greeks, so that may transfer their tax residence in Greece in 2021. Meanwhile, we've had some alternative taxation of income for pensioners, foreign pensioners living in our country. So we tried to have some interventions in order to attract these people in Greece. Then another priority was to have more liquidity for Greek economy. The support of Greek economy from ATP and guarantee funds and the various loans that were given will amount to over 12 billion euros in 2020. Another priority was structural changes that were promoted even through the pandemic. The design of the government went on and progressed, a progress that is acknowledged in Greece and abroad. The Ministry of Finance in the last year designed and realized a series of structural changes aiming at making Greek economy more competitive, more extrovert, more productive, and make it a pole of attraction of foreign investment. By way of indication, we adopted the new succinct development measure of second opportunity, the Observatory of Liquidity, corporate governance and capitals, the new institutional framework for microcredits, a new law about money laundering, and regulations about virtual assets. So with this framework, we reduce anonymity with regard to digital dividends, and now all service providers of digital portfolio and Bitcoins have to be registered. We have already promoted various actions in order to reform the Ministry of Finance itself and the enhancement of its function and services through simplification and digitalization of main activities. The objective is to further digitalize and reform our budgetary management of the state through the implementation of new technology systems. Such an important reform is the e-file for lenders. This is a new application of the Ministry of E-Governance, along with the Ministry of Finance, in order to accelerate the examination of NPLs guaranteed by the public sectors, and in order to reduce all the red tape and all the documentation required to this end. Another priority is to exploit European resources, especially through a Next Generation EU and the recovery mechanism and resilience mechanism. We believe it will amount to 32 million euro till 2026. So we have filed as a government in the European Commission first recovery plan and resilience plan with reforms and investments for the green and the digital transformation, employment, social cohesion, as well as public investment. These pillars integrate all European recommendations and political priorities. They have essentially been founded on the needs of the Greek economy and on how they will be covered, especially with regard to the pillar of digital transfer. There are actions such as the auction sale of the 5G networks. We also design to cover all Greek highways from such technology networks, and through Festos, the innovative fund, we will also have the ecosystem, the growth of an ecosystem of economy for services and applications based on 5G. Then we also have the enhancement of the infrastructure of businesses in our country, especially the SMEs, with the supply of digital equipment, software, in order to further create and extend their digital services. This will be combined with education and training of all the workers. The importance that is given by this recovery plan to digital transformation is also showcased by the fact that all these four pillars include investments and reforms that support the digitalization of economy. So the target of the Ministry of Finance is the package of reforms through the digital transformation of tax and customs services of the country, the extension of connected online cash devices, incentives for e-transactions, e-instruments for tax audits, TaxesNet, all that will be done, and digital tools designed to this end will contribute to having a broader tax-based basis and will create the space required to further reduce tax rates. The main objective of a country must be to shield the resilience of the economy against any trouble and a crisis, but at the same time trying to establish conditions and terms for sustainable development, having as a succinct policies based on the axes that I just mentioned. We can actually overcome today's ordeal and form a new model targeting at the systematic increase of competitivity, productivity, extroversy, and to the narrower connection of production with technology and innovation, aiming at improving our development, innovative development. It is our duty towards the next generation to achieve this, and we will achieve this because we have design, system, methodology, trust amongst ourselves, and because we are all very hardworking. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Mr. Saikouras. And now let's go on with the Ministry of Development and Investment, Mr. Georgiadis, who is here with us. Mr. Georgiadis, first of all, thank you very much because you are here with us today, and let us acknowledge that lately, with all that happens in the trade world, I know that the government is trying to preserve health for all its citizens, but also give a big breath to all the world of the trade. I know that you're always frontline. You always say yes when it is to inform all the citizens about what is happening. Thank you so much for being with us. I know that sometimes you're criticized over that, but thank you so much because they want to know the following.
So we would like to learn two things. Investments, where do we stand? Things are becoming harder. This is true. Globally, investments are frozen by large groups. And what most people would like to know, whether for NSRF 2127, have the processes and procedures simplified so that a single euro is lost, so that projects are put forward, providing benefits both for the economy and the society. First of all, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure and an honor to join you in this digital conference. And of course, I'm here because the work delivered by ΣΕΠΕ is very important, is extremely important. I always learn things and I'm instructed as to how I can make good decisions. When the situation is so difficult, Of course, you are criticized negatively or positively. This is normal. In the middle of an enormous crisis, well, people that make decisions are criticized. I was the last one to block and shut down retail commerce, and actually I'm doing the best that could be delivered in this weird time. By and large, anyway, the Greek economy resists, has demonstrated impressive resilience under extremely harsh conditions. Until the second quarantine, the onset of the second quarantine, the execution of the budget was as planned. Well, due to the second quarantine, we lag a bit behind, but I believe that gradually we'll catch up, and that we'll be able to recover with the assistance of the European Union. We are there to resolve problems, working hard. Concerning the future, I can't lie. The second pandemic wave has frozen the economies, the investments, mainly because the countries producing investments are themselves affected by the pandemic, China included. China is free from the virus, however, thanks to a very strict quarantine, and investments are rather limited. So there again, we are waiting, and the climate becomes harder and harder. However, our country has gained in terms of reliability. We've demonstrated that we are reliable people, that we can deliver. We proceeded with the reforms, and we've explored the time to settle certain challenges in different other sectors. We are preparing the new law on public contracts to have all tenders faster, to have them in place faster, thanks, of course, to the Recovery Fund and the EU support. We've been trying to reduce bureaucracy to avoid losing a single euro, as you mentioned earlier. It is true that we've lost some time, but now, 17 months later, we have we are ready to present a record in terms of funds absorption. We are far better. We rank very high, and you can see that on the EU webpage. Now, hold on, Minister, so that our participants understand better. The NSRF, which is about to be concluded, was designed in a way so that if a country failed to absorb the specific funds, in those cases, there was a penalty. 21-27 is front-loaded. Get the money and absorb them at any cost. And this is why we're speaking about a redesign, so that the money is absorbed by the real economy at an extraordinary speed. And This is what the Prime Minister stressed in the Parliament. The front load of the EU project, well, this concept may be regulated differently. When it was designed as front-loaded, there was no recovery in view. Now we've got two different pockets. Absorb the front-loading project and the funds from the recovery, and the money from the recovery funds. And will go as high as absorbing 7 billion euros with an closed, to put it this way, economy. And you were the one before this crisis to write an article that I was the minister, presented record absorptions. It is, of course, easy to say that you'll absorb all of those billions. However, it is hard to deliver it. You are continuously under the supervision of the EU. Everything is posted on the website of the European Union. And this is what we'll be trying to do in the future. The Recovery Fund, the new NSRF, involves and touches upon the digital transformation and transition a lot. The public sector is expected to benefit a lot, which was the case in the first semester. Now, the public sector is expected to benefit more. Speaking about the fourth industrial revolution and the digital world, and the funds that shall be absorbed eventually to avoid losing the train, well, I dare say that in the years to come, we'll have lots of money, lots of expectation and demand, and hopefully extraordinary outcomes. And let me stress that the NSRF for digital website on the part of SMEs shall initiate next week. In order for them to get into the next step, the digital economy. Well, today we might be very pessimistic because we are in the middle of a typhoon. However, by March, April, the pandemic hopefully shall be under control. By summer, it shall be over, and Greece, Europe, and the entire world shall be prepared to move forward. We need to be a bit patient and very careful. This is what you've been repeating continuously those days. So let us keep this general concept that you've put forward, that the Greek economy resists. And again, you have been very reserved while speaking about a second wave several months ago. So I assume that you know better things about the Greek economy. Well, my ministry, the co-competent ministry, to be allocating money, the TEPIH and other funds have made available more than 10 billion euros in the market. This is what kept most Greek enterprises alive after such a long-term recession and lockdown. our administration is very reasonable, and this is why we still got the money to keep feeding the business world until the end of the pandemic, so that we move forward the day after, having faith, solidarity, and good communication between us. The Prime Minister announced the e-gov on our mobile phones, many different applications, so that the citizen is best served. You've mentioned 5,000 years for those who wishing to have an e-shop, which should have been started earlier. A natural shop together with an e-shop, that should have been the case. You, in your business, have you got an e-shop so that one can purchase your books? Well, I shouldn't be doing this. That would be some kind of advertisement. But anyway, we might. What I would like to stress is that we've got possibly the best e-libraries, the best e-library that one can very easily have access to. So, Minister, under those conditions, most of us business people attending this conference, in 3 minutes, Adonis Georgiadis, the Minister of Investment, together with all the other members of the administration, have been struggling to keep the economy open and resist the pandemic. So how do you feel about that? This is a very personal question. If I could choose between avoiding COVID-19, not having to meet it ever, well, avoiding thus to put penalties on shops infringing the law and so on and so forth, I wish I had never met it. However, when there's pressure to be putting forward answers and solutions is what proves and demonstrates the strength of a community and a society to resist. We've resisted 10 years of austerity measures, and we've got through it impressively stronger. Impressive for the pressure that we've been through and the magnitude of the crisis. And now again, Greece is there, impressing the entire world due to its effectiveness and efficiency. So I'm very optimistic. Thanks to people that is mature, thanks to Prime Minister who's there to resist and deliver, we can be sure that we'll manage to go out of the crisis winners. Thank you, Minister. We recognize your heavy agenda and the importance of the role that you have been playing all those months on behalf of the government. You've been the link between the administration and the active business people. So, I would like to thank you. So, whom would you like to thank as an epilogue? 2 words as a conclusion. I would like to thank all Greek people for being patient, and mainly the business world for our excellent communication. Under those harsh conditions, we've managed to be working together smoothly in good communication. Possibly my decisions haven't been satisfying them fully. However, I've acted in good faith for the best of the country. And I'm fully convinced, and I need to repeat it once again, I'm very optimistic we'll make it successfully. Thank you, Mr. Georgiadis. Before closing, before having a 5 minutes break, let me tell you that we'll have 2 sessions, stream 1 and stream 2. Dimitris Malas, panel 1, and I'll continue with the next panel. We'll have together with us Mr. Tsakiris, Christos Dimas, Minister of Technology and Research, Mr. Varifopoulos, Minister of Digital Governance, Sokratis Lazaridis, CEO of the stock exchange. From Deloitte, we'll have people with us. That shall be a free debate. So let us go to the market, and in 5 minutes, we'll be back all together. The ΣΕΠΕ Digital Economy Forum. Thank you.
(2020), a year unlike any other. A global pandemic, an economic recession, social unrest. It has tested our resolve, but it also has opened our eyes to how swiftly business can adapt, how dramatically the environment can heal, how resilient and connected we all are. This crisis is a call to action, a challenge to do more than return to normal. It's an opportunity to create a better normal, a world reimagined that acts on society's needs. In this new ideal, organizations are more flexible and empathetic, uplifting diverse voices, creating inclusive cultures, supporting mental and physical well-being, preparing others for the workforce of the future, helping them achieve their aspirations and find their true purpose. In a better normal, business leaders will help rebuild trust in society, deliver solutions through ecosystems and alliances, connect people with technology in ways that amplify both, and engage stakeholders in shared and sustained value creation. In a reimagined world, business and government proactively nurture our planet's health, inspire change among those they influence, and set examples through their actions. Returning to the way of life that existed before COVID-19 would mark failure. This is our chance to repair and reshape the world in a way that works better for everyone. For 175 years, Deloitte has helped people, clients, and communities adapt to and embrace what's next. That journey continues with new challenges, but the same purpose: to make an impact that matters.
The most important thing during the natural disaster is communication. And we will keep standing behind the client to restore the systems.
说我们在这个公司的价值体系理想呢，是要为人类服务，不是为金钱服务。说我们从芯片到系统，我们完全可以自己来担负起来这个东西。等到全部都5G化以后，信息的这个价格就会降下来，这样是让农村的孩子啊、贫穷的孩子啊都有条件能在网上看见这个世界，提高他们素质，他们将来为人类创造财富的能力就会增强。
Η καινοτομία ξεκινά όταν κάτι πρωτότυπο συνδυάζει τη γνώση με πρωτοποριακές τεχνολογίες, πηγαίνει πέρα από προϊόντα και διαδικασίες, αλλάζοντας τον τρόπο με τον οποίο οι άνθρωποι εργάζονται, συνδέονται και επικοινωνούν. Καινοτομία είναι να ζεις πραγματικά στο cloud, έτσι ώστε οι πληροφορίες να μετατρέπονται σε γνώση τη στιγμή που τις χρειάζεσαι για να αντλείς αξία από κάθε εργασία, κάθε συναλλαγή, κάθε μέρα. Καινοτομία είναι να μπορείς να τρέχεις ολόκληρη την επιχείρησή σου από παντού, με το πάτημα ενός κουμπιού, οποιαδήποτε στιγμή, μέσα από οποιαδήποτε συσκευή. Καινοτομία είναι όταν μπορείς να συνδέεσαι με την ταχύτητα του τώρα με οτιδήποτε, έτσι ώστε οι συνεργασίες σου να μετατρέπουν τις καθημερινές ευκαιρίες σε πραγματικά αποτελέσματα. Καινοτομία είναι όταν πίσω από όλη την τεχνολογία βρίσκεται μια νέα πλατφόρμα ειδικά σχεδιασμένη για να προσφέρει μια μοναδική εμπειρία σε κάθε χρήστη ξεχωριστά. Καινοτομία είναι όταν μπορείς να δεις σήμερα πώς πρέπει να είναι η επιχειρηματική εμπειρία στο μέλλον, μετατρέποντας κάτι ήδη εξαιρετικό σε κάτι ακόμα καλύτερο για ακόμη μια φορά. Με απλά λόγια, καινοτομία δεν είναι να κοιτάς μπροστά. Καινοτομία είναι να είσαι μπροστά.
So I see that all our guests are here. It's perfect. They're here with us. Mr. Tsakiris, Deputy Minister for Investments. Thank you. Okay, we can hear you well. Mr. Christos Demas, Deputy Minister for Research. I'm also doing a sound test, by doing that. Mr. Zarifopoulos, Deputy Minister of Digital Governance. Good afternoon. Alex Karitsis from Syriza, from Innovation and Development. Again, Mr. Karitsis, please. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Perfect. Now I think we all heard you. Good. Mr. Lazaridis from the Stock Exchange. Good evening to everyone. Good evening to you too. Perfect. From Deloitte, Mr. Koutsopoulos. Good afternoon. And Mr. Kyriazis, CISO from AN. Good afternoon. I think that we all heard each other. Perfect. So let's start. In this very interesting panel talking about investments in the Greek market of digital services and innovation. We need this market. We needed it yesterday. We need it today. We'll need it tomorrow. We need it for the future. Mr. Tsakiris, you have the floor for the first introductory speech. Let's not take too much time so that we can allocate the time well to everyone. Yes, as you said, we need these investments on technology. We need them for over 10 years now, but I think that now the Greek mindset is quite mature, the Greek business mindset more. As a government, we have various tools and budgets for all these investments to be made. We begin by NSRF. Many interlocutors also know it very well. Through this tool, we can provide grants. Then we have the Recovery Fund and the new NSRF that are coming. Again, we have digital transformation, which is the first priority. And then we also have funding tools, especially the venture capitals. that invest on edge of technology, not infrastructure, company infrastructure, but technologies per se, so that companies may develop technologies and some of them maybe become leaders worldwide. So let's see that from the Greek information system companies. Mr. Kyriakidis, please. Investment on research and innovation is only too important in 2020 was a year where research was on top of the list of all the countries due to coronavirus, and we all know that scientists and researchers have discovered vaccines that are safe, and this gives us hope that 2021 will be a year of recovery, not only for Greek economy, but for world economy. And beyond this reality, according to European Commission data for each project and research, every euro spent comes back multiplied to the economy. The expenditure for research and technology should be about 3% of their GDP. From the 27 member states, only 4 have achieved this objective, so there is still a long way to go in Europe. What I mean by that is that in Greece, lately, actually in the last 2 years, we have a big increase of expenditure for research and technology. 3 main axes for intervention, universities, then we also have businesses, and finally the innovation ecosystem. We believe that with the initiatives we've taken in the years to come in all 3 sectors, we're going to have better results. When I say in the years to come, started from 2021, as of January, and from then onwards, I believe that, when we come to the QA, I can go deeper into my rationale. Let's go to Mr. Zarifopoulos, please. I'd like to start with a question. And I'll ask you to wonder, what does an investor seek to find when examining our country amongst other countries? What is the one that will convince the investors to come to Greece? First of all, we all want to go somewhere where we feel welcome. So investors want to go to a country where they feel in the act that they are welcome. They need to find a government with an agenda which is investors friendly and a framework that will help towards this direction, the institutional framework and taxation framework. From then onwards, there are some other factors that will affect the decision, not just how friendly the government in the institutional framework is, with the tax, labor relations, etc. So these other factors have to do with technology. That means infrastructure. If a multinational comes to this country, they want to find the proper infrastructure. They also want to find human resources to staff their investment, and in order to find human resources in startups and other companies that will exploit, of course, the services that this multinational will give out to the market. They are looking for a digital state, because a digital state is there not just for its citizens, but also for the companies. So they are looking for businesses that are already in the process of digitalization. Then investors will have other interlocutors to transact with. So everybody has to be involved into this process. They also want to find an active ecosystem of innovation with which they will cooperate. So all that are important preconditions for investors. So institutional framework, taxation framework, digitalization of public administration services, startups, and innovation. So we are on track as a Ministry of E-Governance in order to make our country appealing to investors. Yes, Mr. Zarifopoulos, you do have a lot of work. Mr. Haritsis? First of all, I'd like to thank for the invitation extended to me by ΣΕΠΕ. I know you for many years, but it's the first time that this happens in this virtual way that is imposed to us by this pandemic. And I'm saying that because I believe that we need to understand that we don't speak in a void. We speak in an environment that is different, in a crisis which is deep and structural. So I believe we should see the general framework first before we speak about investment. So the first I'd like to say is that we need horizontal measures to support economy, local economy, in order to be able to respond in the less painful way in this exogenous shock of coronavirus. We need measures for further liquidity by exploiting new funding tools and new important European possibilities that are open now, with the quality by the European Central Bank, the lift of liquidity restrictions, and of course the recovery that we are expecting in the months to come. This is the first, the major, the most important in order to reverse the negative climate of the economy. And let me clarify that according to safe research of the European Commission, Greek entrepreneurs are more pessimistic about the future compared to the other Europeans. This needs to be reversed, and it is a prior which is required in order to be talking about the future. And then for the next day, we will need some ad hoc support in different sectors. We need strategies about sectors that add value to the Greek economy, as is the investment in our human resources, which is our main comparative advantage compared to other countries. So we needed to invest in digital technologies, for example, that give great added value, not just for the sector, but for the economy at large. So what I'm saying is not theoretical. In the last years, some of that we were able to intervene and put them into practice, such as an increase of expenditure for research and technology for over 1% of the GDP in 2017, with tools and programs that respond to this strategy, Equity Fund, Create, Innovate, and other incentives. And of course, with the creation of the Development Bank, a very important development for the Greek economy. But I think we'll have the time to talk about all that in a continuation. So I will stop here. Horizontal measures for the economy to reverse the climate and very targeted sectoral interventions in order to create a favorable environment. Thank you very much. Let's go ahead. We will go ahead later on with Q&A for further talk. Mr. Lazaridis from the Stock Exchange.
Let me thank ΣΕΠΕ first of all and Mr. Sirius for the invitation. Let me start with a Bloomberg today's publication representing the views of the largest fund managers in 21. The IT companies shall prevail in terms of absorbing funds and in leveraging investment funds. This is an enormous bet. Greece needs to find a way to explore this environment in a market in Greece where more than 60% of the investment interest from abroad, well, how to put it, This demonstrated that Greece could be a solution for foreign investments in favor of the Greek companies. And I'm not speaking only about IT companies, but of those that exploit, leverage this kind of technology. And this is the bet in order to change the paradigm here in Greece. It is important to stress that in the developed world and the developing world, the MNU economy rates correspond to 48% of the capitalization of the SMI indicator. The IT companies in Greece correspond only to 1% of the Greek capitalization. However, they have increased their value by tenfold during the fiscal crisis decade, which unfortunately concludes with the pandemic that has affected all the markets, and particularly the IT sector. For the stock exchange market is the one which resisted most during the pandemic, with a significant increase of by 36% of its capitalization this year. So 2021 may be characterized as quite attractive in terms of investment. We are still expecting a Greek Nasdaq for those enterprises. We are still waiting. Well, that would be the bet, a bet for ΣΕΠΕ. Okay, Mr. Koutsopoulos. Good afternoon. I thank ΣΕΠΕ for the invitation, and let me elaborate on the opportunities, because we're at a crossroad where we have significant domestic and international funds, NSRF, Horizon Europe, the Recovery Fund, the model of the developmental model, and so on and so forth, in order to attract investment. We've got the Bible of the digital transformation, and I assume that the initiatives, 5G initiatives, may bridge the gap left by the years before, and a very dynamic system. For the first time, we are discussing about digital innovation hub that shall be co-financed by the EU and privates, and the brain regain, which is another bet, and the digitalization of the interfaces between the public and the private sphere. All the above are movements, are actions that facilitate doing business in Greece. And in this context, significant investments have been delivered, including those of Deloitte in Thessaloniki, of Pfizer, on the part of Pfizer, on the part of Microsoft sometime earlier. It is important to stress that digital technologies may indirectly attract investments, which we have highlighted in the same forum last year on the basis of a survey that we have organized, and where we have reflected that the PPE sector can actively contribute in the digital transformation. Let me put forward some examples. Smart buildings, meaning an advanced real estate which leads to investments at a lower cost. Digital technologies that can differentiate the tourist experience, getting meaning in the tourist sector, having a unique, a single portal. One may learn about Greece, or the energy sector, where we have high added value apps that can lead to energy saving, supporting the digital transformation that we have mentioned last year as well, with the value increase in the TPE sector by 1 billion, the potential gain by several years later could create an added value of 40 billion euros. And again, something equally important, jobs of about 400,000 people. Now, Mr. Kyriazis, and then we open the discussion, the debate. Good afternoon on my part. My opinion, before discussing the attraction of investment and a new productive model here in Greece, we need to focus in the self-understandable revolution. Nothing can change unless we got the same situation in our universities, unless we facilitate the outcomes of the university community to be guided towards the market and the production, unless the environment becomes more steady. And I could enumerate many other conditions and situations in a global market, a highly competitive and ever-changing market, having players that first shoot and then target. Well, we need to have rules taking into account the environment where we are called in to operate and the momentum and the capacity of the country. This is the self-understandable revolution that we expected to be delivered. And this is a prerequisite, according to my opinion. So let us now discuss how we attract investments in digital technologies. As we know, those technologies, and they are enablers and necessary to all the financial sectors. The development of a Greek digital technologies industry is of a paramount importance so that we may attract investments to all other sectors. Meaning we need to be very cautious in the way we promote and will be developing this industry. As we all know, the development of such an industry requires two basic elements: infrastructure and highly skilled human resources. In terms of infrastructure, we need 5G investments. We've got the Microsoft investments towards the correct direction. As for the manpower, let me draw the attention of the administration and of the companies of the market in the following. The IT market is possibly the only one that hasn't been having significant unemployment issues during the crisis. Today, it does have significant problems in terms of lack of employees and manpower at all levels, not because of the brain drain, but because the companies that were obliged to drop their costs were very careful in dropping costs in form of labor, whereas many companies, against the overall spirit, increased the number of their jobs. Let me give you the example of what one. Our company, at the beginning of the crisis, we've employed 65 people, and now we are 350. And we are expecting to go above 500 in a very short time period. And we're not the only company in doing so. Second remark, of course, attracting investments needs to aim at improving the employment and in the development of specific sectors of the market. So if we take into account the fact that the development of an industry, of the digital technology industry, is of strategic importance for our account, given the lack of human resources, we need to avoid investments such as those of technological colossus in Ireland, in Romania and elsewhere for supportive services, call centers, and so on and so forth, and we need to focus on investments and excellence centers, innovation centers, entrepreneurship centers, and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, it is very important you need to conclude, Mr. Kyriazis, and it is equally important to support Greek enterprises to invest on new innovative technological tools that would allow higher openness. Excellent. So that was the first circle of our roundtable. Mr. Tsakiris, let us become a bit more specific. In your field, you are Deputy Minister of Investment, so some food for thought for all panelists. Before coming into the studio and starting this communication, Mr. Charitsis, please keep this point. We've received the following message. An air conditioning colossus, professional air conditioning colossus, announced its first R&D center of 140 million euros in Gand. They are on the top of the list here in Greece, however, they opted for Gand. So, you, the officers, the executives of this administration, can you attract those investments instead of letting them go elsewhere? Well, this comes as a continuity of what Mr. Kyriazis mentioned earlier, that we need to focus more on the investments producing in technology instead of those, how to put it, provide just a service. Speaking about the specific question, until now, many foreign companies have invested in Greece, and particularly in R&D, products R&D field. Pfizer, even Greek companies. Yesterday, we have announced that together with Sunlight, another research enormous project, another investment project on lithium batteries initiated. We've got in place incentives for attracting those investments. Of course, there are more interested parties, and every company, well, decides following its strategy, its targeting. It's strictly connected with human resource existing in a country. Greece is not in a good condition, speaking about research, human resources, due to the brain drain. The trend has been slightly reversing. We've been producing incentives to have this so-called brain regain. We are heading towards the correct direction, having quite good results, and I'm referring to foreign investments in R&D here in Greece. So let me ask you the following. How the new NSRF shall be designed in a way to avoid losing a single euro, to avoid losing money that will be highly desired in the future? Well, the new NSRF, and I've said that numerous times, shall be simpler compared to the existing one. We are working towards this direction in terms of processes, to have simple actions and targets to the main pillars, that is digital transformation, green economy, the competitiveness of small and medium enterprises, and the social state, the welfare state. So if we focus on those elements, which are the main orientation of the new NSRF, will have many actions, digital actions for SMEs, will fund research towards this direction. So that will be the major part of the new NSRF. And let me stress that it's very important to have it simplified in a way that things are done easily and money are guided fastly to the market. Well, of course, bureaucracy exists all around Europe. However, this is a front-loaded system, and we risk to lose them all. So how you'll design together with interested bodies, the stakeholders, the projects that need to be embedded in the market? Well, every action, and Mr. Charitsis could discuss it more, could elaborate more on that. Well, every action, evidently, well, what we wish to do is to have it designed following the consultation together with the market players. Mr. Charitsis and myself have seen a lot in terms of actions that are utopical, that can produce a single euro in the market. Why? Because the market itself and its needs were taken into account, and the rules are so perplexed and time-consuming that until the subsidies are in place, the investment is over, or the company has gone bankrupt, or whatever. And something similarly important, another significant point for those aware of NSRF project. A major challenge of NSRF is relevant to the so-called, how to put it, the evaluations of the applications for an action. It takes a long time until the action is over. There are extensions, there are pressures because one has failed to submit an application. The evaluation, once over, we've got objections. Objections are controlled, are checked. It takes months until a beneficiary, from the time it applies, it may get integrated and funded. So in many different actions, we have installed the FIFO on-off criteria system. If the features of the proposal fall under the action, well, it is immediately integrated until exhaustion of the budget. So you're speaking about the digital world indeed. We have listened to Mr. Tsakiris in terms of the research, human resources, because our generation has left abroad, even though Mr. Kyriazis and Mr. Koutsoupoulos companies try to attract them back. But it is not easy to keep a researcher. What is the wages of an average research Dimas? A researcher, C, grade C, gets 1,100 euros, whereas, hold on a minute, Mr. Ipofandis. Allow me to say that if we compare the Greek research community to the European one, in terms of research itself, we are close to the average, even a bit above. Where we lag far behind is, as mentioned by Mr. Kyriakis, is in the development of research into innovation. There indeed we lag far behind. Speaking about competitive wages, from 17 onwards, all researchers and scientific members of the academia fall under the single payroll. In following a legislative initiative 4 months ago, we have exempted from this payroll the research involved in research projects that are not financed from the state, but are financed either by competitive European project or from the private sector. So they keep their salary. No, they are exempted from the single payroll. The research centers are given the opportunity to attract a researcher, a postgraduate researcher, and offer a far more competitive wage compared to the one proposed in the payroll. This is how we can repatriate people that have left during the past 10 days. This is an incentive for the centers themselves to attract more private funds. However, allow me to say something more. Research is not conducted in the universities and in the research centers. It is conducted in the business, in the companies themselves. And the most R&D expenditure indeed is delivered in the businesses. Pfizer, Cisco, Microsoft, Volkswagen and other companies have attracted many funds. 4 months ago, we have passed a significant provision in increasing the rate of exemption of expenditure for those companies investing on R&D. And allow me to say that there are many ΣΕΠΕ companies investing on R&D. This was so because according to the impact assessment of the company, the sole provision in the next 3 months may increase R&D investments over 3 billion euros. Have you managed to attract a big enterprise wishing to get into R&D so far? Of course. I've mentioned them. I may repeat them. Pfizer, Cisco. In other words, this law shall bring more jobs domestically. Of course, it shall attract green investment and shall enable the domestic companies that are active here in Greece to increase their R&D expenditure so that they can develop more and create more quality jobs. In other words, this is a twofold endeavor. Mr. Zarifopoulos, you have set a context. Well, let me tell you that yesterday our Prime Minister announced e-gov. So let us see what we can do with the companies. Well, if we take into account the necessary conditions so that investors are here in our country, there are some things that are already underway. The new democracy government has a pro-investment agenda. We have moved towards this direction in terms of the tax system. The Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Investment have both delivered an excellent work. Concerning the other pillars closer to my ministry, we are upgrading infrastructure. The 5G tender shall be concluded in the next few hours. By the end of 2021, we'll have under this umbrella 60 a large part of our population, 60% of the entire population in the next 3 months. And again, the first cloud policy, where we'll be exploring and exploiting the cloud options. So we are upgrading the infrastructure, and we are digitalizing the administration. As Mr. Ipofandis mentioned, sometime soon the GovGR application shall be on our mobile phones. And we'll continue towards this spirit, having more services on our laptops and mobile phones. We'll embed more, and everything is described on paper. Projects upgrading the primary sector, tourism, the shipping sector, education, and so on and so forth. And again, the work that has been done by the Ministry of Development in terms of the innovation ecosystem and the innovation hub has been excellent. The most difficult pillar, because I've covered most, and there has been an enormous initiative relevant to the digital transformation in terms of hardware and software. So the most critical and important and difficult pillar is the human resources pillar. It's there that we need to focus. Unless the people in the companies are highly skilled, we can't be speaking about digital transformation. Unless the people in the administration can't exploit those tools, we can't be speaking about digital transformation. So if the companies are given incentives either to keep skilled people in house with competitive wages or attract more from abroad, given the overall environment, and I remind you that an engineer in the UK may get 5,000-6,000 euros or above. So what shall be the case here? They would choose to leave the country to remain abroad. Well, I'm a person having worked in several countries, and I can honestly tell you that most Greeks would like to get back. If we've managed to deliver everything that I've mentioned earlier, we won't be simply producing new jobs. Those shall be strong incentives for those people to get back, so that they can work in a better environment in their country. But I stress, I would like to continue elaborating this dimension of digital skills, and we need to start having digital skill courses in the primary, secondary educational level, for all students, for those wishing to become journalists, doctors, lawyers, whatever. Indeed, however, the academia needs to be first trained, those that shall urge young students to get into the digital world. Okay. So how we'll do that? How we'll train horizontally the population and specific groups of people? Will exploit synchronous and asynchronous platforms, platforms that can be soon, which shall be soon delivering certification, so that we have more people trained in specific tools and skills in specific sectors. So, Mr. Haritsis.
Knowing where we are, where the country stands, these are things that we need to enjoy, to receive as a stimulus and go forward. Mr. Haritsis. Mr. Ipofandis, I think it's a good thing to be optimistic, but what is required is to be realistic as well. So 2 comments on what you heard earlier. First of all, with regard to NRSF. It's crucial for our country, especially nowadays, not to lose not even €1 from the resources available by the EU in 2016, since the report for the end of the operational period at that time was supposed to close 31st of March 2016. We're about to lose the absorption of many millions from European resources. We wanted to safeguard these resources for the country, and we achieved that. I think that discussing about various investments, A versus B, etc., it does not reflect how crucial the conjecture is. I think that the major thing is to have initiatives and tools that provide a framework and configure it in order to attract investments, not individual investments. By having the position that I have in the ministry, and in order not to just speak in theory, what does it mean to create a tool that favors the growth of investments? I will use the example of a fund that we created at the Ministry of Finance at the time, Equity Fund. I think it responds precisely to these specifications, that is to exploit resources, public resources, national or European, an architecture of a tool that covers all the funding stages of a company, from innovation to whatever. Business plans, intersectorals with added value, whether that is biotechnology or any other sector, but it has to be sustainable, and of course transparent and trustworthy institutional framework for everyone. How quickly can a fund like this work? How quickly can this fund operate? How quickly can it actually approve, have a leverage? This is what we need. What we need is transparency, first of all, and we need something that is essential and very fast. So here we have to fight with two dragons. One is the red tape, Greek and European. What was said earlier by Mr. Tsakiris is also about specifications and the regulation, European regulation, and there's a big effort made by us and other member states to simplify procedures. I insist that we need tools such as the one that I described, which is functional, and that makes us proud because it functions and it performs in the present difficult conditions, because exactly the specifications are very specific. You say very nice words about this fund, but do you have any concrete example, some investment with leverage that has been done? Well, there are companies from digital startups and technology materials, technology of materials that have been funded by this fund, and I'm happy because I see the next government continues with this job. It didn't end it. I think that there should be such a continuation. And let me give you a second example, which is even more crucial. It's the development bank. What's the logic behind that? We know that liquidity from systemic banks is not enough for an economy such as the Greek economy after a longer financial crisis. So we need a flexible financial institution oriented to support the real economy and the needs of Greek SMEs. There was a deficit of the country for many decades compared to other countries. We closed the gap, and I think then we can wonder where we would be if this development fund wouldn't be there with its tools, such as entrepreneurship fund for micro investments was created in 2018. And I think that we should and they should be criticized. It should operate faster with less hesitation. Now there are more guarantees from Europe compared to Greece, so we needed to exploit the possibility of this Greek Development Fund, especially in these circumstances, in order to keep Greek companies alive and in order to attract investment abroad. Mr. Dimas, Mr. Zarifopoulos, Mr. Sakiris, do you have any question towards Mr. Haritsis or any comment? Okay, Mr. Tsakiris and then Mr. Zarif. Okay, I think that the talk is quite interesting. I think I always tried to respond and answer questions. Okay, now my role is to ask the questions. First of all, equity fund was an idea that we discussed many years ago with Mr. Haritsis one night, and it was raining. It started from an idea. In my previous hat, we created this tool that has changed. It will change even further. Investments, especially in startups, technology startups. Let me also give you an example, a simple example. Sorry, if you allow me. The former Prime Minister, Mr. Tsipras, and present Prime Minister both have said from the podium of ΣΕΠΕ Invent with the same thing, exactly what you're saying now. You see, the Ministry of Development has some kind of continuity, you know, because, well, things are quite simple. A company that is funded with data, I'm telling you, it was €1 million about 1.5 years ago, managed in September to have a foreign investment amounting to €14 million. And the sub-funds that are private companies, because we have private money involved, they have invested over we have over 100 companies that have invested in this, and out of such tools, I can tell you that the Greek state makes a profit. And I take you to Jeremy funding tool that has also provided profits, and the Development Bank and the PIH, as Mr. Haritsis said, has grown and given about €2 billion so far. And the guarantee fund, although we are not in agreement with Mr. Haritsis as to its architecture, however, I believe in leverage because we don't have enough funds. NRSF reaches the end of its life, and it's not about absorbing NSRF. I wish we had another one, because a big part of NSRF has already been used and will be used for actions for the liquidity of the market. The guarantee fund, €2 billion, will leverage about €6.5 billion in loans to SMEs. This is a big number, and the Development Bank, which so far had a marginal role in the Greek economy, now plays a determining role, since these funding tools will go ahead with the next NRSF and with the Recovery Fund. This has been done in other countries, and it has been going on for many years, and now it's been done in Greece. Mr. Lazaridis, you were one of the first that has been transformed digitally. How do you see what you are actually listening to right now? First of all, I remembered that next to my hometown there is the village of Nympheo. We're saving bears there, and before they are again out, they have to hide the food that they feed them so they don't lose the skill of finding food by themselves. I'm saying that because all this money which is channeled to production need to be exploited in a way that SMEs will become competitive and they will not just stay to grants that allow us to survive for a period of time. I also want to say, on the basis of what you are describing, that we were first in the digital transformation. This means that we can sell technology abroad. We sold in Kuwait and Lebanon, and we go on. And we have about 70 people who are digital personnel, and they have the same problems as Mr. Kyriazis and live with the anxiety that Kotsopoulos will take us with this fantastic center created in Thessaloniki. Now, I think that what is of huge importance here is for companies to be able to make plans, investment plans, that will help Greek companies to be more competitive. This is a criterion that will form the next productive tissue. It starts from innovation, from universities, but in order to maintain the people hooked to that and to make something that can perform at the proper time, that's very difficult. In view of the lockdown, within 2 months, we had the virtual general assemblies as a product, and so there has been this remote tool for general assemblies to take place. This means that we were able to properly assess and exploit the timing. Mr. Kutsopoulos, tell us, how do you make it? How do you bring investments in Greece? I think that we are a big example, starting in 2018, and then with 20 people in Thessaloniki. We have the Deloitte Alexander Competence Center and Innovation Center, development of competencies with a lot of use and development. For Deloitte, what we've seen, it started with a brain regain. It started as just a conversation with some colleagues in the Netherlands a few years ago, because they had fiscal incentives to be there and start their career. Having grown a lot, they said, I would come back to Greece, but I would come if it was in Thessaloniki. So with Brain Regain, we started with 20 people, and right now we have 400 people, and we'll go to 600 people. This is our goal. And we found universities that wanted to work with us, to provide people to us, important, remarkable people that can help us go forward. This is the basis for further investments, such as Pfizer in Thessaloniki, because we may have reliable people there. If we believe in Greece, yes. If we've done it already, and we go on doing that. The Bible of digital transformation is going very well. It will help a lot. It may simplify processes. It may help a lot in having people invest in Greece. And of course, it can benefit investment interest. Now, what we're going to do in the future, I think that this has to do with digital innovation hubs. What are these? These are the hubs that we have with companies cooperating, private public administrations. They test before they invest. So they can test before they invest. They can assess how ready they are to invest, how ready they are to support investments. So these companies may help people who want to invest to find resources to invest. And all that will create an ecosystem of networking. And all that can help a lot. We will do that. We will be actively involved in these solutions in the years to come. Okay, so we reach now Mr. Kyriazis. So let me say, Mr. Kyriazis, you talked about the revolution of what is self-evident, that this is required. Do you disagree with anything that you've heard so far? I believe that everything goes to the right direction. Of course, we needed to see everything in the act. We needed to see it work. Information system market. Let me speak a little bit about history now. At the end of the 90s, beginning of the 20s, the Greek information market had to deal, was confronted with huge development possibilities and opportunities. We've had, first of all, the internet revolution and then mobility revolution, huge new fields in front of us. The biggest client of the information system was the Greek public administration with huge budgets for information system, and then the stock exchange would feed the market with a lot of liquidity without precedent. Unfortunately, this opportunity is long gone. Once again, the train would just go by, not stopping there. We could speak about hours, agree and disagree about what went wrong, but we will all agree in three factors that played an important role in this failure. Greek information system companies, first of all, did not realize, not at all, how important it was to invest on the internet and mobility for their future. They did not exploit the possibilities of such investments in extrovercy. The big customer realized information projects without knowing what this was about. They bought information systems with the same institutional framework that they bought boots for the army. So this was not leverage for investments. This meant deficit of knowledge, deficit of supervision. Now, coming to nowadays, 20 years after 10 years of a financial crisis, with this crisis, a lot of stakeholders of the years 2000 are out of the game. The companies that have survived or created, meanwhile, are the ones that will be leading in the years to come. So today, in front of us, the motto is to go forward, move forward, and I'm talking about 5G. 5G is creating a new field of applications and imposes from ICT systems to be very timely in their investment approach. The big client, the state, has the budget, mythical budget of 6 billion. But now they know what they're talking about. And in the last 2 years, they have shown that they can be very effective and demanding in this field. Funding sources through stock exchange or development projects or entrepreneurship or venture capitals provide us a very good basis to say that, yes, we have money, not for everyone, but only for those who want to do some serious investment and exploit the big opportunity ahead. we should add here the need of the private sector for digital transformation. I think that the opportunity that we have in front of us in the Greek information system market is even bigger than the one that we had in 2000. The game is the same, but the method is going to be different, and this will protect us and contribute to not making the same mistakes. Very important. What you said is very important indeed, not to repeat the mistakes of the past. Need to say that we are precisely on time. We have 5 more minutes for the epilogue. I don't know if anybody wants to ask something, or somebody who would like to make a clarification, ask a question, maybe from business people to politicians. No. Okay. Mr. Tsakiris, please.
The pandemic, obviously, we have accepted that. It has been an enormous shock, external shock. The way ahead shall be very difficult. Technology is a way out, a significant way out for development. We need to focus there. Concerning Greece, I believe that we need to broaden the field of investments. Tourism overnight may not produce what expected. With well-targeted actions and specially designed tools for funding the digital technology, I believe that will have significant outcomes, not immediately. It takes some time for technology to mature, but, well, in a very short time period, we may come up with good results. Just a parenthesis regarding what Mr. Kyriakis mentioned earlier. I hope that what was delivered in the digital development years could be avoided. Mr. Dimas, I grasp your opportunity because today the public consultation on the innovation community ended, which was something that didn't exist. It started in July 19. In the week, we'll have the first tender document for PPP. So that was a resource where parts of R&D in companies, startup companies, may build synergies for innovative products or services. Something similar doesn't exist in the entire southeastern Europe. So the tender documents shall be soon ready. The second initiative, when I got in the industry, we didn't know how many startups were active, how many people they employ, and which sector. So we created Elevate Greece in order to have a picture of the companies, to have them mapped, to network them between themselves, to follow their progress on the basis of critical indicators. And the first specialized jobs are already announced, and we created tax incentives for investment angels. Combined with the excellent work delivered from the Ministry of Mr. Zarifopoulos, we are overnight excellently organized more open than ever. Mr. Zarifopoulos, you have the floor. Thank you, Mr. Ipafandis. I believe that we need to be optimistic and safe looking into the future. There's a long way ahead. In terms of DAISY indicator and other digital indicators, we're at the bottom of the list. So there's a long way ahead for us. However, we are convinced that we can succeed for different reasons. Because we know what we want to do. And through the Bible of the digital transformation, everything remains specific. The projects, both horizontal, those that shall change the public administration, and vertically, in all policy fields. Policies relevant to skills, upgrading of infrastructures, and so on and so forth. So we know what we want to do, and we know, second, how we want to do it, because everything, the methodology described, the design, the implementation, the monitoring, the maintenance of those projects, a methodology which is not a simple theoretical approach, has been recorded. Due to the pandemic, we were obliged to accelerate some IT projects, the Gov, the academia, so we know how the model works, how agile the design implementation process are. And of course, the third point is similarly important, because we need the resources, and it is critical that now we've got the Recovery Fund support, the new NSRF support, and support from other financial tools. The digital transformation projects amount higher than 6 billion euros. So all three parameters are fulfilled, so we may be optimistic that we'll finally deliver. Mr. Charitsis, your epilogue. Allow me to say that we need to be very specific when discussing those topics. Oftentimes, we discuss important topics, but we need how to deal with them in terms of the cooperation between the business community and R&D centers and so on and so forth. Which has been the most effective tools? Ερευνώ καινοτομό. That was the most successful project because it brought together those diverging worlds. And this is how the money allocated for this project went threefold as high as the initial one. The Equifund, on the other hand, it is important that this effort is still on. More similar projects should continue as those we have designed initially, made in Greece, relevant to the openness of Greek enterprises, aiming at making the Greek market more green. So equities have been very important, and unfortunately they haven't progressed lately as they should. Of course, digital transition is an enormous topic. There are two main strategic targets that we shouldn't forget. Why we need and we deliver digital transformation: to develop opportunities for the entire economy, not a single sector. As second, to promote social cohesion, to avoid and eliminate exclusions. We've got the recent experience of e-education, tele-education. We'll be soon having the recovery funds, an enormous bet for our country in the years to come. So I would set 3 axes in relation to the above. The transition in the new era of traditional sector, focusing on SMEs. Second, ensuring access to the internet and the process, teleworking, education for all Greek citizens by enhancing the infrastructure, and third, digital transformation actions for the administration, not digitalizing bureaucracy, but digitalizing services vis-à-vis the citizens. So those are the three main axes, and we'll soon submit a detailed proposal of how the recovery funds need to be guided. And this is the role, your role, to submit proposals. Thank you. Mr. Lazaridis. I grasp the opportunity to refer to the Roots project that's been running for a year in the stock exchange market for a year, aiming at guiding money towards companies that have taken productive steps, preparing them for a second step that need to take. Main condition to avoid blaming other people that they haven't protected us sufficiently. And a second point, recently a bond market has gotten developed of €1 billion, 3 times higher than the previous one. And of course we have the equities market, where a company may ensure a developmental dimension and bring a balance between lending and so on and so forth. That should be the lesson for after the crisis. 30 seconds. Talents and the people, the human capital, because of the competition, a very strong competition between the countries. They all try to absorb and attract investments. Speaking about tax incentives, speaking about the brain regain or other people coming in from other countries, it is very important to focus on training from scratch so that we can have people TPE certified. And we should not forget that we are having a global market to serve people all around the world. Well, how is it remunerated, however? Well, indeed, you're right. We had the example of the bear earlier. A bear can easily cross a border. Anyway. Well, 2 words on young entrepreneurs wishing to follow IT technologies. This entrepreneurial journey requires a vision, a detailed plan of a 3-month horizon, very bold management of unexpected shortcomings, and again, the brightness of the concept is of a second priority. The implementation is the one, and the market itself that shall make the initial concept better. Okay, let us keep the passion, the will of all participants, of all panelists, to have Greece progressing, to have digital companies moving ahead. 70 minutes, a discussion, and we are, well, unbelievable. We aren't even conscious of that time. Well, thank you very much. I wish to you to stay safe, yourself, your families, your employees, your people. Best wishes on the part of ΣΕΠΕ for a better, well, let us hope that we'll have the vaccines. Γιάννη Σύρος. Shall be hosting tomorrow Mr. Margaritis Schinas, Commissioner. This is how we'll start. 2:15. Thank you very much.
Αξιότιμοι συγκεκριμένοι, κυρίες και κύριοι, εκ μέρους του ΣΕΠΕ θα ήθελα να σας καλωσορίσω στη δεύτερη μέρα του Digital Economy Forum 2020, χτίζοντας την Ψηφιακή Ελλάδα Virtual Edition, και να σας ευχαριστήσω θερμά για την ανταπόκριση.
Θα ήθελα να σας ευχαριστήσω για την πρόσκληση να απευθυνθώ στη σημερινή συζήτηση.
Καλημέρα σας, and thank you to ΣΕΠΕ.
A year unlike any other. A global pandemic, an economic recession, social unrest. It has tested our resolve, but it also has opened our eyes to how swiftly business can adapt, how dramatically the environment can heal, how resilient and connected we all are. This crisis is a call to action, a challenge to do more than return to normal. It's an opportunity to create a better normal, a world reimagined that acts on society's needs. In this new ideal, organizations are more flexible and empathetic, uplifting diverse voices, creating inclusive cultures, supporting mental and physical well-being, preparing others for the workforce of the future, helping them achieve their aspirations and find their true purpose. In a better normal, business leaders will help rebuild trust in society, deliver solutions through ecosystems and alliances, connect people with technology in ways that amplify both, and engage stakeholders in shared and sustained value creation. In a reimagined world, business and government proactively nurture our planet's health, inspire change among those they influence, and set examples through their actions. Returning to the way of life that existed before COVID-19 would mark failure. This is our chance to repair and reshape the world in a way that works better for everyone. For 175 years, Deloitte has helped people, clients, and communities adapt to and embrace what's next. That journey continues with new challenges, but the same purpose: to make an impact that matters.
The most important thing during the natural disaster is communication. And we will keep standing behind the client to restore the assistance.
说我们在这个公司的价值体系理想呢，是要为人类服务，不是为金钱服务。说我们从芯片到系统，我们完全可以自己来担负起来这个东西。等到全部都5G化以后，信息的这个价格就会降下来，这样是让农村的孩子啊、贫穷的孩子啊都有条件能在网上看见这个世界。提高他们素质，他们将来为人类创造财富的能力就会增强。
Η καινοτομία ξεκινά όταν κάτι πρωτότυπο συνδυάζει τη γνώση με πρωτοποριακές τεχνολογίες, πηγαίνει πέρα από προϊόντα και διαδικασίες, αλλάζοντας τον τρόπο με τον οποίο οι άνθρωποι εργάζονται, συνδέονται και επικοινωνούν. Καινοτομία είναι να ζεις πραγματικά στο cloud, έτσι ώστε οι πληροφορίες να μετατρέπονται σε γνώση τη στιγμή που τις χρειάζεσαι για να αντλείς αξία από κάθε εργασία, κάθε συναλλαγή, κάθε μέρα. Καινοτομία είναι να μπορείς να τρέχεις ολόκληρη την επιχείρησή σου από παντού, με το πάτημα ενός κουμπιού, οποιαδήποτε στιγμή, μέσα από οποιαδήποτε συσκευή. Καινοτομία είναι όταν μπορείς να συνδέεσαι με την ταχύτητα του τώρα με οτιδήποτε, έτσι ώστε οι συνεργασίες σου να μετατρέπουν τις καθημερινές ευκαιρίες σε πραγματικά αποτελέσματα. Καινοτομία είναι όταν πίσω από όλη την τεχνολογία βρίσκεται μια νέα πλατφόρμα ειδικά σχεδιασμένη για να προσφέρει μια μοναδική εμπειρία σε κάθε χρήστη ξεχωριστά. Καινοτομία είναι όταν μπορείς να δεις σήμερα πώς πρέπει να είναι η επιχειρηματική εμπειρία στο μέλλον, μετατρέποντας κάτι ήδη εξαιρετικό σε κάτι ακόμα καλύτερο για ακόμη μια φορά. Με απλά λόγια, καινοτομία δεν είναι να κοιτάς μπροστά. Καινοτομία είναι να είσαι μπροστά.